What's up, everybody? Good Wednesday, and welcome to another episode of the Sports Dép Podcast. Joey Alfieri, Simon Tsalikis, with you for the next few minutes. And Simon, we have a Montreal Canadiens victory to break down from last night in overtime. If I would have given you 10 guesses, would you have given me Jake Evans with the overtime winner?
If you would have told me it was on 4-on-4, yes. I believe it was on 4-on-4, right? Because he doesn't see a lot of ice at 3-on-3. Probably still wouldn't have gone.
You wouldn't have gone Jake Evans?
I think I would have went through 3 blue liners, for sure.
Caufield, Texas,
everybody on the top
Suzuki,
6.
Demidov.
That's 9.
That's 9.
I got to find one more.
Maybe he would have been in your 10th.
Maybe
would have been
Josh
your 10th
Anderson
guess.
would have
Yeah,
snuck
Josh
in
Anderson would have snuck in there.
But good on him.
Good for him. Look, the thing is this. You know, we talked about the penalty kill. We talked about the guys on the penalty kill. We've talked about depth scoring. Caufield scores. We'll get to that a little bit later on. But to me, getting goals from depth guys, getting that beautiful tip-in from Phil Deneau off the Bulldog shot.
Nice
that was a nice tip-in.
Got him short side,
and then Jake Evans, obviously, in overtime. That's good. You get some depth scoring, and it helps alleviate the pressure on your top 2 lines, which have been rolling for a while now. But the Canadiens get a big win against a big, physical team.
Massive.
We talked about this earlier this week. Like, this is not going to be an easy week. They got Colorado coming in, and then they get Buffalo again, right?
Yep.
Like, Colorado's a speed team.
And then Minnesota.
I think they have...
And they finish in Winnipeg.
Yeah,
Winnipeg's
Winnipeg.
not playing
That's
well,
right.
but you're finishing off a road trip in Winnipeg. This 2 losses in a row leading to the Vegas game, this could have easily got away from you. So that was a massive 2 points.
100%. You had a lead going into the third. You couldn't close, but you end up winning in overtime. Listen, it's a Western Conference opponent. Doesn't really matter that you gave them the point. You got the 2 points. That's what counts. Was happy for the depth scorers, and we can get into Dobeš now or later. But I thought Jakub Dobeš a little scrambly for my liking at times, especially in the first period. I thought he played really well. The Dorofeyev, the back-to-back shots from in close there, right? I mean, that's not even the slot. That's like the ultra premium scoring opportunity right by the side of the net. Those were big. He looked composed at times, looked scrambly at other times, but all he does is win, no matter
scored
what.
the first one too, right?
Yes, beautiful shot. And that was the carry at Demidov on the wall.
Yeah, that's the carry at Demidov on the wall. They come down on 2-on-1.
He's a great shooter.
It's a great guy beat you on a clean shot. At some point, he's got to make saves. Sometimes you just say, the same way Habs fans will say, not going to stop Cole Caufield in that spot. Well, he's not the only player in the world. You're going to say you can't stop him from that spot. Just to go back to the secondary scoring, I think it was massive. I was on TSN on Tuesday during the day, and those were specifically the guys I called out. Jake Evans, you got an extension. You know, Phil, I know you were brought in here for a couple of things. One, to help a little bit with the scoring, but first and foremost, 0 for 4 were the Vegas Golden Knights on the power play. Yeah. That's massive, Joey, because they were just giving up goals by the bunches on the penalty kill, right?
Multiple power play goals
every game
in a bunch of games.
Exactly. So that had to be figured out. And Phil Deneau, Jake Evans, Josh Anderson, too good, too smart, too athletic. When I mean active with their sticks, getting in the way. That's not good enough, and they had to figure that out. And I think that was a big part that they figured that out. Yeah. And the scoring is a secondary and a bonus as well.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I don't know if you want to touch on Dobeš because, we talked about it.
Thursday night, it's got to be him.
Yeah, we talked about it on Monday. I think that's the point. That's where we're at now. Is that if you win, and you know what, Simon? I don't even care if it's January 1, you win 7-5 ugly against Carolina. The bottom line is this. This is where we are with the goaltending. You win, you're in the next one. So Thursday night, and I think, didn't he have a crazy game against Colorado? Was that this year or last year? I feel like it was last year.
This year they got spanked like 7-2, 7-3.
Yeah, that's right. No, it was last year then. They won 1-0 or
maybe.
He had I feel like he had a shutout in Colorado. I may be misremembering this. To me, good on the kid because he goes long stretches without playing. I think they were showing it on the RDS broadcast. It's like 11 days, 8 days,
hard,
9 days between games. Maybe he's better with it. Maybe that's why long term, we're talking about a 1B goalie or a backup goalie. That's what we're talking about. He competes. His rebound control is a little all over the place. He scrambles. Handling the puck at times could be a bit of a catastrophe behind the net. But at the end of the day, he's always going to battle. He's big, he's athletic, and he's going to give you his best every night that he's out there. I don't think he's a number 1 goalie. Maybe he develops as he plays more and gets that confidence. But to me, another guy I was really happy for on Tuesday night was Jakub Dobeš because he won last week against Minnesota. They took him out the next 2 games, and they lost them both. They come back to him, and instead of sulking and saying, "Hey, should have been me," comes back and turns in a solid performance against a Vegas Golden Knight team that can lean on.
Yeah,
you
one of the better teams in
back.
hockey. Absolutely. So I would be blown away if it's not Dobeš on Thursday night versus the Colorado. Avalanche.
You would think that it has to be.
No, and you're right. And Saturday against Buffalo, if he beat,
you win again.
You win again. You beat the best team in hockey by a mile. There's no way
Simon,
you don't get the
win
start.
8-6, you play.
Yep.
You win, you play. That's where we're at.
They win more games when he's in nets than they lose. There is no formula for this. It doesn't make any sense. They actually score a lot more goals, but maybe they're scoring a lot more goals because when you know that you can't trust your goalie, sometimes, Joe, you play a little bit more defense. Instead of carrying it in, you chip it in, and then you got to get back and all these things, and don't blow an assignment. Maybe with Dobeš, they feel that they'll get a save here from there, allows them to push offense a little bit more, and that turns into some goal scoring.
Yeah, that's fair. The other thing I want to take from this game, I mean, Cole Caufield's feeling it right now. Wow. Obviously, coming off the hat trick the game before against Boston. He scored in 6 consecutive games, I believe. Already up to 30 goals. We're at the 52, 53 game mark, which is absolutely insane.
One called back also.
One called back. He had a couple of really good scoring chances, too.
Yes,
that Texier had set him up at one point. I mean,
he's rolling, man.
He's rolling right now. And I'm going to ask you, right now, I think it's a pace, I calculate it's a pace of 46 goals. Simon?
50.
Is he? He's on fire right now. Like he's on fire. He's not going to keep up this pace.
But 50 is a big number, and I'm going to say no just because it's 50. And I think at some point you saw it. You know, some stretches where he doesn't get his goals and Nick Suzuki doesn't get his production. Like, I'm not going to say it's a slide, but you're not getting the contribution you were 2 weeks ago from the Kapanen line, right? Demidov has cooled off a little bit. Slavkov's cooled off a little bit. If that continues to go, then it'll be every time he's on the ice, it'll be Hedman, it'll be McAvoy, it'll be Werenski. They already get those assignments. The opposition will double down because the Evans got a goal, Danault got a goal. If that continues, great. But if that goes into regresses a little bit, the opposing coach will communicate to his players, anybody but that line, anybody but Caufield. Right. They're going to burn us with somebody. Somebody else got to burn us. So he'll get the best defensive assignments. He's going to get the other team's best pairing. It'll get a little bit tighter for Cole Caufield. I think 40 is a gimme. 45 is a nice number. 50, just a little bit of a stretch for me right now.
Okay, look, I'm not saying he's a slam dunk to get 50. Okay, and any other year, I'm saying he probably doesn't. And he's going to end up with a number that is beyond respectable. He's going to end up with an impressive number that we haven't necessarily seen in a Montreal Canadiens uniform in a very long time.
Yes.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to throw it out there. I know he's not going to keep producing at this clip. He's not going to score every game. He's not going to have stretches where he has X amount of goals in 6 games. But I'll say this. Chip on the shoulder, man. I'm not saying he's going to play better, and I'm not saying it's extra motivation. These are professional athletes. They don't need extra motivation. But he's not going to the Olympics, as far as we know yet, unless somebody else gets hurt. But even then, he's not going to the Olympics. I think he took it personally, and he's going to be fresh. He's going to be one of those guys that's going to be. He's going to be a star player.
Suzuki was
that's
last year because he had to go to 4 Nations.
Yeah, a lot of those guys didn't go anywhere. Hudson, last year, Hudson, Suzuki, Caufield, all those guys.
All stayed home.
They had depth players that ended up going to the 4 Nations. And what happened in the they went into the 4 Nations slumping. All those guys were fresh. They finished en fury, and they end up making the playoffs.
Yeah, if you're a Habs fan, this is a blessing. Like, I don't care that Nick
That's
Suzuki.
why I think he might get 50. I think he's going to get close. I don't know. To me, I see the number 51 in my mind. I don't know why. Number. That would be insane. You're going to have to up your production like crazy.
Yes.
I think he can do it, and I think it's the perfect storm to get it all done.
Definitely the chip on his shoulders. I think you're wrong when you say these guys don't need. We were told by arguably the greatest athlete ever, Michael Jordan, that he took many things personally.
He invented stuff.
He
invented stuff. Yeah.
Inventing stuff to take things personally is next level. But no, absolutely. He probably feels disrespected and good. And they look for motivation. And, Joey, you're around a professional locker room on a daily basis. Guys are just looking for that bulletin board material, just waiting for some dumb DB in the back to say something silly that these guys are going to Cancun. What was it? I can't remember. Back in the day, was somebody's from the Steelers secondary called out Tom Brady, and I think Tom Brady specifically in a playoff game went after him like 3 times and had like 3 touchdowns to get him. They're just looking for something to just take that level up. He's having a wonderful year. It's a shame that he's not on Team USA. I hope Cole doesn't see this, because I think it's a lifetime dream for his. He will be on a Team USA eventually. But if you're a Habs fan and a hardcore, one, you're probably Canadian, and you're not cheering for Team USA. And the last thing we all want to see is Cole Caufield burying one in a gold medal game behind whoever's in that's for Team Canada. Yeah. We're all winning in this scenario. Cole Caufield, Lane Hudson not going. Sucks for those two individuals. I think Bill Guerin got it wrong. But like you said, the grind of an NHL season, taking 2 weeks off, might be exactly what he needs to get to 50.
Because, and this is what it's going to be like for the Montreal Canadiens, now Nick Suzuki is going, Slavkovsky's going. But, I mean, from a Montreal standpoint, like, you're going to need your other star players. You're going to need the Demidov that's not going, the Caufield, Mathesons, the Dobsons, like all of those guys that as of right now are not going. Those guys are going to have to take over for you. Because obviously there's depth guys that are not going, but I don't expect those guys to take over. I think, not to say that Nick Suzuki is just, the production is going to evaporate and his play is going to tail off. But, I expect Nick Suzuki to play regularly and to play, quite a bit. I don't think he's going to be the most used forward by any stretch from a Canada standpoint. But, you're still going to have to go to Italy, and it is a long flight, and there is a time difference.
Heavy minutes.
He might get,
he might get the Matthews
or
matchup.
Decent,
he might
or
get
decent
whoever
minutes.
Matchups, right? Yeah. He might get the most difficult matchups from the shutdown role, right?
Yeah. So to me, I think, you look at some of those guys, and, Demidov is a rookie, and it's, the offense has dried up a little bit, but, the break might do him some good. But the guy up front that I'm expecting to have to take over, if there's somebody who's going to take charge here, I think it is going to be Cole Caufield. And I think he's got a lot to, there's a lot to prove there. And I think that, I'm not saying Lane Hudson doesn't take it personally, but they're going to need production from up and down their lineup. They're going to need Dobson to be better, and they're going to need Hudson to be even better. They're going to need Matheson to be better. But I think up front, from a goal-scoring standpoint, wouldn't shock me in any way if the Canadiens are leaning on Cole Caufield. It's not to say that they haven't. How many times is that? Minnesota last week, Boston on Saturday. Like,
Minnesota
at the end of games, at the end of games, sure. You're tied, or you're in how many overtime goals? How many goals when the games are tied, or even in regulation? I mean, like, they've leaned on Cole Caufield heavily. The guy has 30 goals already before the 60 game mark. Clearly, they're leaning on him heavily. I think that just might be magnified, and he's going to have to do this over an 82-game stretch. But that's why I think this Olympic break, I think, gives him an opportunity to step away, clear your mind,
reset.
Use that as fuel, reset, come back, and give him heck the rest of the way, because you have something to prove, and this Canadiens team is going to be in a dogfight night in and night out, and I don't think they're going to play a full 60-minute game ever, although I thought they played pretty well against the Golden Knights overall. But clearly, they have a hard time holding on to leads. Their second period on Tuesday night was fantastic, but they've struggled in the second period. They give up goals early in periods. Like, they're going to need somebody to play.
A handful of shots in the third against Vegas as well, right?
Yeah.
Like 4 or 5 shots.
But they're going to need the hero to bail them out. And more often than not, when they need a hero this year, they turn to number 13. And it's going to have to be that for the last 30-game stretch of the season. And like, that's why I think he can get 50-51.
Most, say great goal scorers, most guys that hover around the 45-plus mark to 50 mark, they all have absolutely one thing in common, and that is they're a part of an effective power play.
Yep.
And the fact that he is part of an effective power play that has different phases to it, so whether it's Hudson or Dobson or Matheson out there, Suzuki, Slav, Demidov, maybe Patrick Laine gets in the mix. I don't know, but that has the makings to continue to be a productive power play. And I think for any player in the history of hockey, if you want to get to 45-50, chances are you've been on a team with a good power play, and he's got that. Yeah, he does have that. And you saw the goal got called back, but how about that one-timer that Hudson sets him up for? The stick shatters. The shaft goes into, or the blade goes into the stands. He throws the shaft away, but the puck ends up in the back of the net. I think maybe the broken stick threw off Schmidt, the goalie, but still, I mean, he made some big saves on Caufield as well.
But
he been up to 32 by now.
You never know. Could have, but I don't know why. I think Cole Caufield right now, and I know he's gonna slow. It's not gonna be this 6-goal, 6 games in a row with a goal. It's not gonna happen consistently. But to me, I don't know. The number 51 just stands out in my mind. I know he's going to have to up the production and up the pace. But, I can see a bunch of multi-goal games in his future. I think the Canes are going to have to lean on him, and that's just why I think that there's an opportunity here to hit that 50.
If you
That would be massive for this organization. Yes. Massive for anyone, but this one here in particular, it would be huge.
Yeah, and you talk about if they're not getting that secondary scoring, where you can start looking once you get to game 65, 66, 67, 68, you're probably going to see a lot more of Cole Caufield, double shifting, getting that line out there more so in a game. So he's going to have every opportunity to do it.
Tsalikis?
Yes, sir.
Always a pleasure, my friend. We'll talk. Come back tomorrow. We'll talk some NFL, okay?
Can't wait.
All right. This has been the Sports Dép Podcast. You can find us on YouTube. Please subscribe. Leave us a comment. Leave us a rating. You can find us on Apple Podcast and Spotify as well if you just want to listen to us and you don't want to see us. But we appreciate the love. We appreciate the support. And we've got our Habs Infinity question of the day coming up next. I think you're going to enjoy this. It's about Ivan Demidov. We'll be right back with our Habs Infinity question of the day. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Sports Dép Podcast. It's time for our Habs Infinity question of the day, which is a good one. Yes. It always is. I know we got a lot of reaction from the Carey Price question. I know you started off opposed to Carey Price having his jersey retired. But you said you came to my side after.
I did. You made some great points.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
I feel less confident about my answer. We'll put it that
fantastic. Way. Okay, so let's go with our question today.
Yes, sir.
Does Demidov still have a chance at the Calder? I want you to give me 1 to 10 the chances in your mind that Demidov still has a chance to win this Calder trophy this year.
So the key word in that question is chance. So that's an easy answer. Yes. The answer is yes. I'm going to give it a 3.7% chance of winning the North.
I asked you on 10. I didn't ask you on 100, but it's fine.
3.7, I said.
Yeah, but
on
that's
10.
Not on 10. 3.7 on 10, because that's 37%. Yeah. That's not the same thing.
I think it's going to be, I know Kapanen is a rookie and all that stuff, blah, blah, blah.
I don't think Kapanen's winning it either.
No, I don't. But I'm also very impressed with his goal total. So if he flips his goal total again, we'll see. I do believe it'll be a 2, maybe a 3-man race. And Demidov will be there when it's all said and done. But when you look at what Schaefer is doing, now the problem is this: sometimes it's unfair, right? It's one of those debates. Remember when Ichiro Suzuki came into baseball? He was a pro baseball player. Oh, he's not a rookie. Yeah, he is. Let's not overthink this. It's your first year in the league.
Right.
If you happen to spend 7 years in AAA or 5 years in Japan, it's your first league. We bring age into this. What Schaefer is doing at his age is honestly ridiculous. I'm not going to say he's a catalyst, but last I checked, that team is tucked away nicely in a playoff spot. They're not a wild card team. And
they traded Noah Dobson away for draft picks and a depth forward.
For draft picks and him, because they knew they were drafting him, right? And very similar to Lane Hudson and Quinn Hughes and Cale Makar, he's in that group of when he has the puck, everybody just waits for him to do what he wants to do. How does he want to end this play? Does he want to end it with him with a scoring chance or a teammate with a scoring chance? The kid's special. I think Demidov is special as well. But to do it at that age on the blue line. Joey, back in the day, I used to have Bobby Dallas on. We've had Bobby Dallas on as well, right? Played in the NHL for well over a decade. Yep. And the one thing he said, it's harder to break in as a defenseman, as a teenager, than it is as a forward, especially as a winger. Probably less responsibilities than everybody else on the ice, defensively and all those things. What Schaefer is doing is special. So I don't know what the number is.
So on 10, what are you doing? Because I'm confused.
3.7.
3.7 on 10. So 37% chance that he's, I'm going to go with like a 0.5 on 10.
That's uncalled
but it has nothing to do with the kid. Simon has nothing to do with the kid. He's had an unbelievable season. I think you look at what he's gotten out of Kapanen and what Kapanen's been able to do. I think it's no coincidence if you watch them play that he's the line driver. There's no doubt about that. There's some guys that can do it from the wing, like Kucherov does. I think Demidov is that special.
Kane,
I think he's exactly right. I think he's going to be one of those guys that's going to be well over a point a game at his peak. But for this year, I'm sorry, you have a defenseman that just turned 18 in September.
Yeah, that's right. I said 19.
He's 18. He's going to be 19 next September. Guy's flirting with a 60-point season. Plays over 24 minutes a night. The Islanders are good.
Yes.
I'm sorry, but I would love it. He's going to be runner-up, but it's going to be, to me, it's like a under, I'm going to go 0.5 on. I think you're being generous.
And are you giving all 99.5 to Schaefer? Nobody else is even going to get
I think that somebody's going to have to do something awfully special.
Does anybody else get a mark?
Wallstead in Minnesota can get an opportunity there. There's a couple other guys that'll be in the mix, but to me, Matthew Schaefer doesn't win this thing. It's because he suffered a crazy injury and somebody else took off. That's the way it's going to get.
It's hard to see somebody else take off. Somebody can't. Demidov
can take off.
He can go on a heater, but the other guy would have to drop off the face of the earth.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And look, the kid is special. And look, it's him, it's Hudson, it's Hughes, it's McCarr. There's not a lot of those guys in the National Hockey League, and he seems like he has it because that's not a. I know that they were unhealthy last year, and they didn't fall that far off a playoff spot. So a little bit of health this year, but the team just changes the complete dynamic of the kid. Just changes the complete dynamic of that club. They just look different than what they did last year.
Simon says 3.7 on 10 for Demidov's chances of winning the Calder. I'm going to go 0.5 on 10. That's just that's where I'm at. It has nothing to do with the player. The player's been fantastic, but what Schaefer's done just cannot be ignored at that age. That's it for our Sports Dép Habs Infinity question of the day.